But first, I would like to give the floor to our Minister of Justice, Michal Ptacnik.
Can you hear me? Can you see me? Yeah, I think so. Thank you very much, Kenny. So, well, I'll be brief. I want to continue what we've been doing before, because there must be continuity in government. And I want to start pushing legislature. Of course, that's my job, and make sure that we have laws. And then after we have the basic laws, to have constitution, and not the other way around, because constitutions must be, it's like a good meal, must be cooked, it's not fast food. So we have to first have a country and then have a constitution of a country, and not the other way around. It would be nice to have a settlement before we have a constitution, by the way. And to that end, I'd like to work on diplomacy in Zagreb as much as I can, which requires certain steps, which I won't be going into details, but these steps must be prioritized. The blockchain must get proper business development, and the use cases and teams which actively promote it and actively advance the objectives which we have talked about. That is not happening yet, and that must be happening. If there is a settlement, which will probably be next spring, I want to cooperate with all settlers to make sure that that settlement is peopled by those who know how to settle. But of course, Vít is right. President Vít is right about making sure, and Ivan is right about making sure that we have a higher level in everything. Like everything looks more professional. No more train spotting vibe, like Ivan said. So I don't think anything needs to be added to that. On the Liberland itself development level, I would like to be pushing for a narrow focus on getting good relationships with the Croatians as much as possible, ending the fight, so to say, or ending the controversy. Of course, while the controversy is happening, I'm coordinating with the lawyers on site to get wins where we can. We already got 13 of those and 2 semi-losses. So it's going good. And those semi-losses are only wins for the future, because they are allowing us to go to the Constitutional Court and then to the European Courts of Human Rights, where they'll certainly be interested in what's going on in Europe still. Like, that is not normal. But that is routine government work for us. And so I want to make the routine government work more transparent, and to improve communications of Liberland, to ensure that we are more clear about what we're doing, and that people know what is going on. And I see here Rene, who is telling me that I'm listed as a candidate and you can't find my name, and that's true, because blockchain's forever, digital's forever, and so you can vote Liberlander and you will make a mistake. So you can vote Liberlander. I suggest you do. I'm also a validator, so you can nominate me as a validator. Thank you very much. That's all from me.
Thank you very much, Michal. Maybe please use a little bit of time to elaborate on the citizenship law as well, and what does it actually mean? What are the key takeaways, and when we are going to actually have the referendum on it finally? And again, what will be the main steps of this first legislation that will be put in place by the referendum?
Thank you. That's a good question. I just wanted to say one thing which I forgot, but I guess you're interested in this. I want to improve the administrative processes in the government by adopting and creating in part professional tools, so that we're on the same page. But now to the citizenship law. Citizenship law is the first law we're making, the first law historically that we have written in this modern age. We have had older laws, but this is the first law which is going for the which is meant for the referendum after the system has been consolidated as it is. This law defines simply who is a citizen, what are the rights, so full access to the land and politics, basically. How to gain citizenship, that is through a process, and the the help to Liberland, which is worth 5,000 merits, or you can be born into a nationality of Liberland, but it's not citizenship per se. You will still have to have 5,000 merits to be able to do politics. Or you can be born in Liberland those two have passports of nationals, and then you can be appointed as for your great contributions. You can't do politics, but you have a passport, but then you have a citizen's passport. So these are the three options. And then it, of course, goes about how to end being a citizenship, so nobody forces you to stay one. And of course, as any community which needs to work, there need to be rules how to make sure that certain members of the community who are not playing fair no longer are members. And so we will employ the judiciary, which we're building on a blockchain, in order to enable the removal of certain citizens and under certain very dire circumstances, such as criminality. I think this is, in a short nutshell, it. We have only a very limited time. So, Vid, do you have more? Do I need to say more?
Well, it's a kind of a hot topic, right? Because one of our candidates here that is also going to run right now, he has a criminal background which he didn't want to share with me, and I'm as a voter, unsure really what the reality of his activity in past, and I also we need to give him the floor, but what does it mean? Like, what really are the hard criteria through which the people should not become the citizens according to this law? What kind of criminal activity really we say yes, yes, that's acceptable, and what kind of criminal activity really say okay, it's no longer misdemeanor, you are supposed to serve 2 years in jail for fraud? And what do we actually, how do we differentiate that? Because I think that's one of the key topics for keeping the sanity of our society if we want to go forward. Because of course, with whatever success we are going to make, there will be good and bad people that will be attached to us, and we really need to make that filter. So if you could elaborate a little bit more on that.
So basically, there's our two questions. One question is, question one is who can become a citizen, and question two, who must leave being a citizen. Who can become citizen? That will be that is the law leaves that rather vague at this point, and this should be, because it should be adjustable. And this is kind of a filter where Liberland truly needs to create a detailed policy, which is not for the law to itself to describe. It just says that you shouldn't be a criminal. We are probably going to be quite restrictive in who can become a citizen from from zero to citizen. You need to say that you're a criminal if you are one, and then we decide whether you should be a citizen or not. Which the criterion there should be, in my humble opinion, and that's for the courts to determine, by the way, and I think that is a good place to determine it, should be whether it would be criminal in Netherlands. So in a case of a fraud, if you are defrauding people, just defrauding, like you are offering a scam product, then now you shouldn't be a Liberlander. If you are committing a fraud in the sense that you broke a law which wouldn't exist in Liberland because it couldn't, for example, because there's no way of enforcing it in a libertarian country, then that shouldn't be a problem. To remove a citizen, that is well defined, and there are two main criteria. I want to be brief about it. There's more, but the one criterion is like restrictive and won't happen that much, and that is that you are violent criminal or serious criminal, like sexual crimes and so on. It doesn't have to be violent, but it's serious. And what's serious, the courts will determine. Every legal order has that. Let's leave it on the courts. Let's not do casuistics in laws, please. Like that doesn't feel good for a libertarian country. And then you also have to either betray Liberland or continuously harm property of others. So that's the one criterion which is restrictive, and we won't see much of that. However, there is another criterion which gives a great power to Liberland organs, and that is that if you, in the first place, when you were becoming a citizen, if you didn't say that you were a criminal back then we have a problem, because we cannot trust anything you said. And at this point, you are a risk. And so there in the law, it's just written that the court may end your citizenship, will, and the courts will then create a jurisprudence around it. What I would suggest, but this is just my suggestion, it's not the law, it's not binding, but this is what I would push for, being a congressman, would be that there would be some kind of a way of the person to pay themselves off for the risk, but that should be significant, because you can't really trust anything that person says. So it's not just that little, and it can be like a little crime. Here it's not serious crime. You see the difference. The first one is a serious crime. This one is any crime you didn't say, you forgot to say, or well, forgot, you didn't say, you should have. But then it's not just that little crime. Let's say that you drunk driving. Okay, you did drunk driving, and then but then it's not just your drunk driving. It's that we don't know now if you are not an extremist, because we just can't trust your word. And so whatever the payoff options would be, it would be a significant burden on you to offset like the years of like lies based on which you were there. Does it make sense?
It makes sense to me. Where do people can learn more about this first piece of legislation where their vote will be actually required? Because as you probably know, in Liberland, you can delegate your vote to your congressman, but you can also keep it. And Michael, what is the situation now? How many people have actually delegated and how many people kept the vote with themselves? Meaning the weighted vote.
So you can see the law in the chat where I just posted it.